This video is to show you how to build a IP engineering Rapier kit successfully. Now what you'll need is some wood adhesive, or PVA glue would do the job just as well, super glue, which is from most supermarkets or shops, and a knife and some sandpaper. Now the first step is to glue the sole bars, which are the bits that carry the axle boxes to the wheels, onto the floor, but these sometimes come slightly too long, so the front of it will not stick on quite flat. So the first thing to do is get the sandpaper and just rub down a bit of the edge on the end so it will be just the right length. You'll see there's two lines on the floor to show you where to stick the sole bars, and these go on the very edge of the outer one. So you've got the outer edge of the sole bar along that line, and you can stick these down with the wood glue, and then once you have done that, I'd check that they're in the right position by using the axle and two axle boxes. And if these will stay like that, that shows that they're in the right place. Now I've stuck the sole bars onto the floor, and the next stage will be to stick the front drawbar on. Now this is that bit there, but I would recommend before doing that sticking the front coupling on, which is made of two bits like that. And they stick together, then they'll just glue on like that. Glue works its best when it's under pressure, so I would say get some of these little clamps from a cheapo shop, so Poundland or somewhere, and just clamp the two bits of wood together so it makes a strong bond between the two. Then do the same for the rear coupling, which is a one-piece part with the back of the cab, and they'll just go like that. I see that both the couplings are stuck together using clamps, and let that dry for a few minutes and you can proceed with the rest. Now you stick the front coupling on the end where the hole for the motor is, because that's where the bonnet will be, and that'll just stick onto the front like so. While the floor dries, you can make the front of the bonnet using a bit of wood for the grille cutout and the bit of wood where the grille lasered onto it. There's meant to be a gap between the two bits when they're together for the other bits of the bonnet to stick into, and stick those two together with another clamp and let that dry. Now we can assemble the front of the cab. The front is a bit with the lasered bits of the bonnet in, and the slot for the wires for the battery on the left hand side. Now the sides may not sit quite flat, so they'll be a bit wonky, so get a piece of sandpaper, lay it flat again, and just rub it like that so it becomes flat. And now you should have the front of the cab assembled like so. While the cab dries, the front of the bonnet should be dry by now, so we can assemble the rest of it. And you've got the two side pieces that go like so, and make sure the handle is at the bottom. Then the top like that. Now if you find some of the edges are a little bit sharp around there, we can sort that out later once it's completely dry, and we can just sand it down slightly. And that's the completed bonnet. The next step is to glue the bonnet onto the floor, and that will go so it's just the right amount either side, so it's straight, and a slight gap for the buffer beam so it's not right on the edge. I won't glue the cab back on yet because we need to put the motor in and wire it up, and I'm going to wire it differently, so this is why I'm not doing it in the way the instructions say. The best way to secure the bonnet onto the floor whilst the glue is drying is just get a rubber band and then place it round underneath the floor carefully, and then another one at the back, and I'll just give it slight pressure for the glue to take hold. As all the wood parts set, we can do some of the wiring. Now I'm going to make my loco reversible, but the standard kit only comes with a battery box with a switch on it for on and off, which means you have to turn the loco around with your hands to actually make it go backwards, and that's all stated in the instructions supplied. But to make it reversible, I'm going to use an extra switch that I got from an electrical shop or Maplin's online or somewhere, and we're going to create a cross between the bottom connector to the top one, then the other bottom one to the other top one, so it forms a cross with the two wires. You need a soldering iron and some electrical solder, which you can get at DIY shops, model shops, etc., and some bits of wire, and maybe some scissors to help you cut the end of the plastic bit off the end of the wire so you can solder it. Now to do that, you just use a pair of scissors to cut the plastic case off the wire, and you get strands of wire like that. Just fray them apart a little bit and pinch them together and twist so it makes a nice straight bit of wire like that. You may not be able to see it on the camera because it can't focus that close, but yeah. What can also help is some pliers like that, snap nose pliers, just to hold the switch when you solder them together, and that'll keep it upright and won't fall over. I'm sure the people doing this will know how to solder, so just dab a bit and then coat the wire a bit of solder, then dab some of it on to the end of the connector on your switch. Just gently apply solder. Like so. The two power in cables from the battery holder go either side on the middle two connectors, and the ones for the motor will go on one of the top two connectors, but with the polarity on the same side. The next thing to do will be to put the worm gear onto the motor, but don't try pushing on this right now, and I'll show you how to do it.